Welcome to the None But Curious podcast. We're all about finding inspiration in life's uncertainties. Whether you're still figuring things out, questioning your beliefs, or just curious about the world, come hang out with us as we celebrate the beauty of not having all the answers. Hey, it's been a while, but we are back, and today I want to talk about something that's sneaky but really powerful. Indifference. Indifference shows up when we stop caring, not with dramatic anger or sadness, but with a quiet shrug. It can creep into how we relate to the world, to other people, or even to ourselves. On the surface, it looks harmless, but indifference has real weight. It shapes not only our personal well being, but also the health of our communities and movements for justice. In today's episode, we're going to explore what indifference really is, how it impacts social and spiritual development, even if you don't identify with the religion, and why it matters so much for creating a more just world. Along the way, I'll share perspectives from psychology, philosophy, and cultural voices that challenge us to consider what happens when we choose not to care. So, what is indifference? Indifference is often described as a lack of concern or interest. It's not dramatic, it's not even loud. It's the absence of emotional energy. It's that sense of, I don't care enough to engage. From a psychological lens, indifference can show up in burnout, when emotional reserves are drained, or in depression, where energy and motivation just shut down. It can also be a defense mechanism. If caring feels too costly, we sometimes default to indifference to protect ourselves. But when we zoom out, indifference also shows up socially. Think about all the injustice, racism, poverty, climate change. And I can go on and on. These problems persist not only because of active harm, but because so many people look away. So many people look away. Silence and neutrality can reinforce systems of oppression. As Desmond Tutu said, if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. If an elephant has its foot on the tail of a mouse and you say that you are neutral, the mouse will not appreciate your neutrality. Philosophers have written about it too. In his White House speech delivered in 1999, Elie Wiesel stated, "It is so much easier to look away from victims. It is so much easier to avoid such rude interruptions to our work, our dreams, our hopes. It is, after all, awkward, troublesome to be involved in another person's pain and despair. Yet for the person who is indifferent, his or her neighbor are of no consequence, and therefore their lives are meaningless. Their hidden or even visible anguish is of no interest. Indifference reduces the other to an abstraction." His point was that hate at least acknowledges the other person's existence. Indifference erases them. It turns people and problems into something absolutely invisible. At the same time, there's a distinction worth making. Some traditions, like Buddhism or Stoic philosophy, value a form of detachment. And this can look a little like indifference on the surface, but the intention is different. Detachment isn't about ignoring suffering, it's about engaging without being consumed by fear, hatred, or despair. It's about staying present without being paralyzed. So the real question is, are we withdrawing out of indifference that sustains harm? Or are we practicing detachment that helps us stay present and act with clarity? That distinction matters. So, why does indifference matter? It matters because it shapes how we show up or don't show up in the world. Indifference fuels injustice. When we look away from police brutality, ignore the struggles of working families, scroll past the news of the various humanitarian crises, we create silence where solidarity should be. Oppressive systems rely on that silence. Change stalls not only because of active resistance, but because of widespread apathy. There's another side. Detachment or non attachment is often confused with indifference, but it can help us sustain the long work of justice. If we cling to every headline, every loss, or every failure, we inevitably burn out. Social movements need people who care deeply while also setting boundaries. Detachment allows us to keep going without being crushed by the immense weight of all that needs to change. Indifference isn't trivial. It can numb us into complicity, while true detachment can steady us for courageous, sustained action. So let's get practical. What can you do if you notice indifference creeping in, whether in your personal life or in the broader sense of the world for social justice and making the world a better place? First, determine if it is indeed indifference. Ask yourself, am I tuning out because I'm burned out? Or am I avoiding discomfort that might call me to action? There's a big difference between self protection and complicity. Two, start small to re engage. If you feel disconnected, don't expect yourself to solve every single problem. Begin with one action, make a phone call, show up for a local meeting, donate to a grassroots group, check out a banned book at the library, and then turn it right back in. Check in on a neighbor. Small steps like these break through apathy and remind us that engagement is possible. Three, practice mindful detachment. Activism can feel very overwhelming. Detachment here means letting go of the need to control outcomes. You are not going to end poverty or transphobia or racism overnight, but you can contribute. Detachment allows you to keep caring without collapsing under the immense weight of results. Number four, reconnect with empathy. Man, that's a word that is being tossed around lately, isn't it? Stories cut through numbness. Listen to lived experiences. Read memoirs or talk with those most affected by injustice. Empathy grows through contact, not distance. And that includes social media as well. Get offline and talk with people. Read stories, listen to stories. It is one of the best antidotes to indifference. Five, create reflective space. Whether through journaling, quiet walks, community dialogue, ask yourself, where am I withdrawing? Am I protecting my energy in a healthy way, or am I avoiding responsibility? Reflection helps us notice where we're slipping into apathy and where we're practicing balance. All right, so here's the bottom line: indifference is never, ever neutral. It reinforces injustice by keeping us silent, whereas detachment can free us to act with clarity and courage. The key is to discern which form we are practicing. If you find yourself slipping into apathy, re engage, even in small ways. If you're practicing detachment, let it give you the strength to keep showing up without being consumed. Indifference, in the end, is a teacher. It asks, what do you care about? And how will you show that care? Not just for yourself, but for the world around you. Thank you again for joining me today. If this episode resonates, share it with someone who might need a reminder that indifference is a choice and so is engagement. Subscribe to the None But Curious podcast. Drop me a line at candy@nonebutcurious.org. And until next time, stay curious and stay connected.